municipality of East Hants is in desperate need of a new arena. The current arena was built in 1947, and it's in terrible shape today. The building's support beams are rotting out, and there are cracks and heaves throughout the floor.
I think a lot of it grew out of an operations committee that Pat Mills had started, and we used to meet at the Gypsum in the, I guess it was the early to mid 80s, and recognized, with Keith and some of the people that had been involved, Colin Eisner and many others, that there were issues, and it was time to move on.
The arena in Lance is well known throughout Nova Scotia. It's called the Barn.
I went to school to tell them about what an arena manager did, and one of the kids had 28 questions to ask me, and one of the kids said, "Is it true that the rink used to be a barn first?"
The rink we had, even the old barn we called her. I mean, it was a great in its day, but the community outgrew it. So you had to come up with something new.
The East Hants municipality is one of the fastest growing in Nova Scotia. Today, 12,000 residents live there, but that number is projected to skyrocket to 20,000 by 1996.
I think it was recognized that the area was growing. The facility that had been built by volunteers, supported by volunteers, was due for replacement, and a group, very willing people, took it upon themselves to make it happen.
We had kids and grandkids coming on, and figure skaters too, and thought that we definitely needed something better.
The decision was made we should replace the rink, and then it was looking at what do you replace it with, and the other side of that coin is what's it going to cost. We had to get a design. We got the design, we got a cost estimate, and then it was, well, how are we going to pay for it?
We have support of the local residents and the local business to 2/3 of our total project cost. 1/3 of that is going to come from the taxpayers themselves, and they have agreed to put it directly on their taxes by way of a petition. The other 1/3 is from local businesses through private fundraisers, and we're looking for the last 1/3 from the provincial government.
We had a rink design, we had a rink cost estimate. We approached Shaw's, and Shaw's were very generous. They committed to supply the land, and they also committed to supply all the block and brick, which was a big commitment, and it enabled us to lever that and look for other funding.
East Hants indicated they would support the construction of a facility, being a 1/3 partner, provided that we showed support by way of a petition of 2/3 of the residents.
I do remember going door to door, going to the people and going in and explaining the situation, telling the people what was all about, and that the area needed it, and it was going to go on their taxes, but it would come off their taxes eventually. It wasn't going to stay on there.
And that was one of the toughest things we had to do, was to get 66% of the people to sign for it, but we did accomplish that. Now, when we got that through, okay, now East Hants is on board, and then we have to go after the provincial money.
There was two lows. When the province did not honor their commitment to fund to the 1.4 million they had originally agreed to, and the second was when we opened the tenders for the facility, and it was almost double what the estimate was.
Without Rob Jenkins, I don't know if we would have got the sports specs built back in the days. Rob, I don't know how much time and effort he put into it, but he jumped on the bandwagon, and it was unbelievable what he did here to get the cost down, to negotiate with the contractor, make deals with the unions, and just phenomenal, the amount of effort that Rob Jenkins had. I thought he was one of the key people after we got the thing awarded, stepped in and really made it go, made it fly.
Well, we had to make the very difficult decision to not proceed with the construction of the curling facility and concentrate only on the arena portion. We ended up changing the design somewhat to reflect what we had funds to build. We ended up doing some innovative things, I guess. The original contract included all the site works, things like that. We ended up taking them out of the contract. We had another challenge. Our low bidder went bankrupt a week after we closed tenders. We ended up having to deal with successor company. There was a number of challenges. When we ended up contracting for the facility, we only did the building. So all the site works, all the gravels, the piping, the servicing, that was all. We figured that we could get local contractors and some not so local contractors to participate in that work, which they all did. So the building itself was built 5 feet outside the perimeter of the building. That was the contract that we went with.
But getting out of the ground was a pretty big project. Without that work done, we saved a lot of money by doing that. We had trucks from Truro and trucks from Dartmouth, and volunteer trucks. And I have a great long list, but I can't go over them all. And there was a significant involvement. And National Gypsum was probably one of the bigger ones in the groundwork. I just keep going back to calling somebody in Truro or somebody in Dartmouth or all the way in between to come and haul stumps for a day and haul gravel for a day, and the people that came, you know.
We asked the community for a lot of help, and everybody in the community came. Like when we had to mix brick, everybody landed over Shaw's, and we mixed brick up. And for here, a lot of the local masons and that donated their time and their money here because of things we had to do to get the cost down, and they went through their unions and all did that for us.
I think the fact that the load was shared by many people made it a lot easier, but yeah, there was many sleepless nights.
One of the things, there's a proud history here in East Hants with community support and volunteerism, and I know that group did a fantastic job. These guys weren't just the steering committee for the expansion and for the facility. They were pillars within our community, and I think people looked up to them, were inspired by their commitment to the community and their ability to kind of make this project happen in the early 90s. And they lended credibility to our project and our efforts just because of their strong stewardship of the capital and the expansion back in the early 90s. That group was certainly diligent with respect to building the project, but showing strong leadership through in-kind donations and really galvanizing the community.
The fact that another generation picked it up and grew it, the fact that it is a big attraction to the municipality in the area, it's good.
I know that when we were coming in to sort of take on the next phase of the expansion, we knew we had big shoes to fill, and we wanted to do a good job and continue that proud tradition.
If you look at the board of directors, every one of them are solid citizens, and that was the people that drove it. The Atlantic Lands colonizers and Rob, everybody, that was the driving force there. And the Doncasters got involved and stuff, and so anyway, it shows you what can happen when a good bunch of people get together with something in mind. And it was a major undertaking, but well, it's here, and we've added to it, and we'll add to it again. So that's a blessing. Well,
I feel good about being part of it, and I know it was hard because we were all working a lot, and to find the time to do what we had to do. I still always want to speak of the volunteers that outside of that board that did the amount of work that was put into that, and I can't speak too much of the people that gave a lot of money and a lot of time.
What you do at the time, you put every effort you can, all you can, into what you're trying to achieve, and that group did it. And when I talk, not just the rink group, everybody. It was community effort, business effort, people effort, and the board and all the volunteers that worked on it. So.
Well, yeah, I'm very proud to have been associated with them, and they're all very deserving of being honored in this way. Not speaking for myself, but for the people that made the contributions. And that goes for all the contractors, communities, the businesses that supported us at that time. They showed foresight and vision, and we're sitting in a facility that's a result of that. I'm very glad that I was part of it, to have been associated with it, just to see all the fine people we have here in the community, right? I think it's important to note that they were people that selflessly donated their time, for the good of the community, for no other reason.
2018 East Hants Sport Hall of Fame inductee, 1993 East Hants Arena Association.